Anyway, now that I'm out of it and I'm feeling really much better, I will go on with where I stopped, and that was the year 1947, when I was 14, actually 14 and a half. I had left off where my stepfather and I had just finished holding each other and smiling at each other, and resuming him helping me with my math. That is all that had happened, just holding each other and kissing and caressing a little on his part, but that's about all that happened. Now, a few days later, he never mentioned the fact of what had transpired. The days went by. I did not look at him differently since nothing had really happened. So that what I do remember is about a week later, more or less, there was one night where there was showers, thunderstorm, and the whole apartment shook. It was really bad, very, very bad. Usually I sleep very soundly, nothing wakes me up, I don't hear any noises, anything. But that particular night, it was so bad. And I also remember that was the period where I really was sleeping in my mother's bedroom, and Maurice's, of course, because that's a time where they had to watch him very carefully. As soon as something with his breathing, they had to give him medication right away, and they were scared to leave him in his room alone. And I remember waking up and thinking how lucky they all three were together in one room. And here I was all by myself, listening to that horrible sound and feeling again sorry for myself for a change. I can't describe the feeling of loneliness. I didn't know what to do. I was really too big to run into my mother's bedroom and ask for protection or to reassure me that it's only son. I mean, I was 14 and a half. It would have been a very childish thing on my part to do. So I just remained in bed and holding on tightly to my pillow and crying. And just crying. And all of a sudden, I heard my bedroom door open. And there was Maurice standing in his just underwear and putting his head through the door and very gently saying to me, "Are you okay, Fanny? Are you asleep?" And that's when I really cried. I said, "No, I'm not asleep. I'm petrified. The noise, it's awful. It woke me up and I'm scared of it and this and that." And so he sat down on my bed and he started to stroke my hand, my arm, and then he held me close to him in a sitting position. I was sitting up, in other words, and he reassured me and consoled me. And oh, was I happy, was I grateful. The one and only human being who understood. Now, I don't know what happened in the other bedroom. I don't know if Willie woke up or my mother. I absolutely haven't. I assumed he was asleep. I mean, he couldn't just have walked out and find out how I was doing. Or maybe he could have. I don't know. All I know is that he held me very tightly. And then we embraced again like we had done a week before. But this time it went much further. He started to caress me, my breast, and my whole body. And I remember that I I wasn't aroused at all. This I can definitely I'm sure of that. But it just felt so good to have someone next to me who was holding me, touching me, caressing me. I mean, it just didn't matter. I was just so happy with all that thunder that the one human being whom I knew cared for me and was kind to me was right there when I really needed me. When I look back now, being an adult, of course, it was, on his part, it was 100% taking advantage of a young, pretty girl, because by then I had filled in a little more. I wasn't like at 10 or 11, a skinny, tiny thing, you know. I was already starting to develop very well. And I'm also aware that in school I was always popular with the boys. So when I look back, he was absolutely a criminal for having taken advantage of it. I'm sure that in his mind, at the beginning of it all, I hope to God I'm sure. Maybe I just don't know. I just can't analyze this, but I don't think I think that it all started out very innocently. His comprehension of human behavior and his understanding of this kid moving in with a new father and a new brother and all the attention my mother was giving. I'm sure that his affection toward me was all purely psychological and tactful on his part. I don't think that he set out thinking, oh, she's 12 and in 3 years she'll become a woman and then I will take advantage of it and have the mother and the daughter. I just can't believe that all this went through his mind. It all happened very, very gradually. And also, when I look back, when I arrived at 12, I was very ignorant of so much. And I was so behind my schoolwork. And he put so much time into me. It wasn't just with schoolwork. As I said before, it was guiding me in reading the right books, taking me to museums. He transformed me. There was like Pygmalion, that's the only thing I can think of. He saw the tremendous change of growing on my part. And at that age, kids learn fairly fast, especially if the tutoring is good, and he was brilliant. So I'm sure it was all very innocent on his part at the beginning, and that he could not have planned this. No, I don't think he planned it. I can't believe he planned it. It all happened, and I was extremely vulnerable, and the love and attention he gave me, I accepted fully. To me, it wasn't just the idea of the sex itself. I was so young. I never had any desires or excitement, any exciting feelings of sexuality. I didn't at all. I just let him do anything he wanted. And that same night, that's when it really happened. He didn't even force himself. He didn't rape me. He held me, we kissed, we hugged, and I just let him do whatever he felt like doing. I never stopped him because I liked him. I admired him. I liked him. And even though I felt nothing except a little pain at first, even though he was so gentle with me and so cautious, I really felt nothing. I knew enough that after this I was not going to be a virgin anymore. I had read enough novels and books, but I myself did not have any feelings of, I did not reach an orgasm or anything like that, certainly not that very first time. And I don't think not the very first 5 times even. It just, I just could never say no to him. And to me, when I think back, it was the sex, the love, the attention, was all the same. All it mattered to me is what somebody was holding me and loving me and holding me, and I loved every moment of it. Now, this is the situation. This is what happened after that very first time. He worked at that time about 20 minutes by bus in that glove factory that he at that time still owned. My mother was still busy with those scarves of hers, except that she didn't have to smuggle anymore. It was in the open. Willie went to school all day long, and so did I, of course. But in Belgium, there's, it's not just Belgium, I think it's all over Europe, there's what they call a siesta period. Most people do not work too far from their homes, come home, and they rest for 2 hours. That's when we have dinner. Lunch is really the evening, which is dairy stuff, but lunch itself, dinner is lunchtime. And they rest for 2 hours. Usually one takes a nap, a siesta, whatever you call it. And at that time I was going to the French Lycée of Brussels, and I had different free periods. Well, I do remember that many times I was home at the same time he was, and Willie was in school all day. He was in elementary school. And my mother was kind of in and out of the house with her own business with the scarves. And we had so many occasions, Maurice and I, to be alone. Well, it was 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes even 15 minutes. And invariably, we would have sexual relationships. Sexual intercourse, I should say. As time went on, I began to accept the fact that I loved it and then that I needed it. And sometimes I would just look at him or his hands. He had the most magnificent hands for a man. They were very manly and beautiful. And his touch, he could just touch my knee, on my arm, on my face, and I would become so aroused. Among his other qualities and endeavors and whatever it was I admired about him before, the one thing I must add to the list is that he was an art in love making, and he knew all the angles, and he knew exactly how to satisfy a woman in every way imaginable. At this point I'm 41, and I've met a lot of women over the years. Some I knew more intimately than others, and we would discuss sex. And so many at the age of 30, 35, 40 never knew that they even had a clitoris or knew what an orgasm was. They because of the background, the Victorian background, and the prudishness, especially the American women, I think so. So many just weren't aware of their own sexuality. I must say that at the age of 15, 14 and a half, 15, 6, that's 24 years of having him as a ghost in my life. The ghost never went away. No matter how many relationships, sexual relationships I've had afterwards, or just plain falling in love at different times with different men. Nobody was like him, whether it was apropos sex or apropos paintings or intellect or reading books. Nobody had everything that he had, and for years I would always search for that, at least one of those things. 24 years of this man in my conscience, on my mind. I look back today, and there's more I have to say about him anyway, but when I just think back, what a nightmare, what a horror to impose on a child. The words, oh, I don't know. If I would have majored in English or in literature, I don't think even then I could find the right words to express what that man did to me. It was bad enough the first 12 years of my life, but afterwards it was just as bad. But anyway, going back to that time, the need I had for him was indescribable. I don't ever remember when we were alone for one moment that we did not touch or look for one another or touch one another. It's a miracle, a complete, simple miracle that my mother at no time ever caught on to this. I became the best actress in the world. He was a genius to begin with, so for him it was easy, the acting. And she was completely unaware of what was going on in her own home. But as a few weeks after it had started, what was happening to me was, first I'll tell about my feeling. When I was alone in my room, I couldn't stop thinking. I was very upset with the whole situation. And the guilt, God Almighty, the guilt. I acted beautifully, as if, of course, nothing had ever happened between him and I. But I don't think I could ever look at my mother in her face directly. But that she was not aware of either. And I went at the same time, while I was with him, happiness beyond words, and joy and pleasure and satisfaction in every single way. When I was alone, I felt miserable, guilty, unhappy, so desperate. It's unimaginable.